Good evening, I'm Wendy Mesley, and this is The National. North Korea's closest ally is taking sides over missile tests, and it isn't theirs. More violence in Venezuela after authorities crush a political uprising. 1 year after BC brought in a foreign buyer's tax, is home ownership any more affordable?
He was perhaps worthy of more praise than any other single naval officer there.
So why is there no mention of this Canadian in the hit movie Dunkirk? Plus, Colin and Kinley Mockery open up about her coming out as transgender.
I think we were both idiotic in a way, because...
North Korea is one of the world's most isolated countries, and this weekend, another door closed. The country's closest ally and largest trading partner is taking an unprecedented stand against North Korea's missile tests. China is supporting the harshest sanctions yet on Pyongyang. Ellen Morrow has the story.
Meeting with his North Korean counterpart this morning, the message from China's foreign minister was clear. North Korea should stop its nuclear and missile tests. In this important moment, we urge all parties to stay calm and exercise restraint, he said. North Korea's military moves triggered the UN Security Council to approve new sanctions yesterday that could cost North Korea more than $1 billion in revenue. It was a unanimous vote supported by China, North Korea's economic lifeline and closest ally, often accused of not doing enough to pressure the regime.
The full Security Council has come together to put the North Korean dictator on notice.
But China is also urging the U.S. and South Korea to ease tensions. It says joint military exercises like this one aren't helpful, and it wants Washington and Pyongyang to negotiate. The situation on the Korean peninsula is at a critical point of crisis. At the same time, it is a turning point to make the decision to resume talks, the Chinese foreign minister said. Easier said than done. North Korea sees its nuclear program as key to its survival, and the U.S. sees it as a red line, preventing dialogue. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson met the South Korean foreign minister today.
After the UN sanctions, what's next to pressure North Korea?
We're going to talk about that.
Last week, Tillerson said the U.S. would pursue talks, but only if North Korea backs down.
We would like to sit and have a dialogue with them about the future that will give them the security they seek.
Until then, the U.S. says all options are on the table, including a military response. It's unclear what impact the new sanctions will have on North Korea's behavior. The country has been undeterred by sanctions in the past and continues to threaten the U.S. for what North Korea calls its hostile policy. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
As Ellen mentioned, under the sanctions, North Korea could lose $1 billion in revenue. The country's main exports are coal, iron, lead, seafood, and textiles. But North Korea also sends its citizens abroad to work as forced laborers. And most of that money is funneled back to Kim Jong-un's government. Diplomats warn that revenue flow may be harder to cut off. More violent unrest in Venezuela today after weeks of political upheaval. Protesters hit the streets of Valencia in support of armed rebels who attacked a nearby military base. The insurrection was crushed, but the attack only highlights the tension in that country. Rebels posted a video condemning President Nicolas Maduro's recent moves to consolidate his power. He responded by calling them U.S.-backed terrorists. The recent political chaos in Venezuela is made worse by a crumbling economy. So how to make sense of this complex situation in a complicated country? Stephen Gibbs has covered Venezuela extensively for the Times of London and The Economist. I spoke with him earlier. So, Stephen Gibbs, months of chaos and now this. How big a deal, how serious was this uprising today?
Well, if you ask anyone who is living near that military base just outside Valencia, very serious indeed. Several hours of explosions, of gunfire, at least 10 people inside. Not entirely clear whether they're people that were uprising from within the army or it was attacked from the outside. That base has a whole lot of ammunition, and according to the Venezuelan military, some of that was stolen. So yes, this is an important military base, and if we take the government's version of events, yeah, but definitely a very serious development here.
So the president is saying that these rebels they're terrorists who were backed by the U.S. One of the rebels is quoted as saying that Maduro is a dictator and that this was an effort to bring back constitutional order. What do you make of this?
Well, that's what one of the rebels said on a video in social media that is circulating and began to circulate when this all happened. Now, we can't be quite sure whether any of this is true, whether he was linked actually to the people that were attacking the base. But this does fit into what President Maduro has long been saying, is that he is a victim of a sort of foreign-backed mercenary attacks, and most of the problems, he would say, in this country are not his fault really, but the fault of other people from outside the country. But that very fact actually has raised a whole lot of conspiracy theories that have been going around in Venezuela today, and that is whether this was, whether there's more to this than meets the eye, whether perhaps it was some kind of government stunt to perhaps even out those within the army that might be considering a coup, or something along those lines. Now, I have to say, it is plausible what happened, given this is a country with the world's steepest recession, given that there's a constituent assembly going on with a lot of people are not happy about that. There are people in the army who are pretty uncomfortable with the direction of this country at the moment. They may be well prepared to rebel, and if there are a few of them in this barrack, the big problem for Maduro is whether there are other ones in other parts of the country, and that's what we're going to be watching in the coming days.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Stephen Gibbs in Caracas tonight.
Thank you.
Flash floods swept through New Orleans this weekend, and more than a decade after Hurricane Katrina, residents are again raising serious questions about the city's ability to handle extreme weather events. 25 centimeters of rain fell in just 3 hours yesterday. Entire neighborhoods and low-lying areas are still underwater. Officials say the deluge overwhelmed the city's pumping and drainage system. More heavy rain is in the forecast for tomorrow. And that same storm system spawned a tornado in Oklahoma. It happened so fast, the National Weather Service didn't have a chance to alert residents. Dozens of buildings were destroyed, and at least 25 people were injured. Environment Canada confirmed a tornado also touched down south of Quebec City yesterday. Winds of more than 150 kilometers an hour uprooted trees and tore roofs off several structures. For many Canadians, bidding wars can turn the dream of home ownership into a nightmare, especially in Toronto and Vancouver. Both cities have put some of the blame on foreign investors looking to cash in. And a year ago, British Columbia stepped in to try and cool things down. But as Briar Stewart reports, you'd never know it now.
So you've got all the modern amenities in a great leasehold building.
For the past 3 days, a steady stream of buyers have been touring through this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo in Vancouver.
And then you have another bedroom, right? That's right, yeah.
Tanvir Bambra is one of them.
You see something, you like it, it has an offer on it even before the open house. That's what I've been experiencing.
Condo demand is up, and so are the prices.
I think people have given up that dream of having the detached house. To stay in the center of Vancouver, you've got to live a little smaller.
Last year, Vancouver's skyrocketing real estate market was why BC's then government said it was introducing a 15% foreign buyers tax in Metro Vancouver.
That's how we are going to help put British Columbians first.
In the month after it was passed, sales dropped by nearly 20%. But 1 year on, the market has stabilized, and the average price of a single detached home in the area is now more than $1.6 million, up nearly 2% from last year. This realtor believes the tax was more of a political move than a genuine attempt to cool down prices.
It's like trying to slow a car down that's going 180 miles an hour in a 100-mile zone, and it's slowed it to 150. You're still speeding, but they can say, well, we've slowed it down.
In the spring, Ontario introduced a similar foreign buyers tax along with other changes to try and slow down growth in red-hot real estate markets. In Toronto, sales and prices are down, but it's still early days.
And we thought that was a good way to go.
As for Vancouver, Tom Davidoff is one of many economists who believe that if BC's new government is serious about influencing the housing market, there are other things that could be looked at.
Property taxes are too low, income and sales taxes are too high. I think the province needs to start thinking about asking municipalities to be reasonable with their zoning.
By that he means in a city with such limited space, single detached homes should be a rarity, and high-density living like condos should be the norm. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Jack Rabinovich, the founder of the Giller Prize, has died. The real estate mogul started the book prize as a tribute to his late wife, Doris Giller, a literary journalist who died of cancer in 1993. People close to him say he had the gift of friendship.
He just had a unique ability to connect with people. If he liked you, he loved you, and he never let you go. He wanted to turn the world of literature into more of a competition, more of something that people could celebrate, a bit more fun. And so there was a whole sense of pizzazz to the Giller Prize that had really been absent from Canadian literature.
Rabinovich also played a leading role in the expansion of the Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto and was a recipient of the Order of Canada. He was 87 years old. Safety officials are investigating after two airliners clipped wings at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. An arriving Air Canada plane collided with a Polish Airlines craft that was prepping for takeoff. Both planes suffered serious damage to their wings, but nobody was hurt. The Polish Airlines flight was canceled. The Second World War epic Dunkirk has earned a lot of critical praise and commercial success, but for one family with Canadian roots, it leaves one important detail behind: an acknowledgement of the role one of their own played in saving those thousands of lives. Kate McKenna has her story.
The ship's about to leave.
He may not be getting Hollywood's recognition, but Commander James Campbell Clouston might be one of Canada's greatest war heroes.
Well, he played a significant role. The largest number of troops were evacuated from the East Mole, and he was perhaps more worthy of more praise than any other single naval officer there.
The new Dunkirk film stars Kenneth Branagh as the commander in charge of ushering British soldiers onto rescue ships.
They've activated the civilian boats.
His role as pier master is loosely based on Campbell Clouston. Winston Churchill hoped to evacuate 50,000 soldiers, but the Canadian commander was instrumental in saving about 5 times as many men.
At one point, they were getting off the mole at a rate of over 2,000 an hour, which was significant, and in the end got more than 250,000 off.
But Commander Clouston isn't named in Christopher Nolan's film. In fact, his name isn't even in the credits, despite his family asking for it to be included. Christopher Nolan did acknowledge that Clouston did play an important role. However, he says the character is ultimately a composite of several people. Clouston's son Dane wrote to the film's producer, who responded, "Out of respect for the real-life heroes of the evacuation, we decided to fictionalize the characters."
I understand that. On the other hand, there was only one piermaster of the Dunkirk mole.
A 1990 CBC documentary took a closer look at Clouston's life. It highlighted how he was born in Montreal, moved to England to join the Navy, and in the final days of Dunkirk, his ship was attacked and he was lost at sea. Others, though, believe he deserves more recognition, even here in Canada. Montreal-born Michael Zawacki wants Commander Clouston to be a household name.
You know, when I started reading about his heroic feats and the ultimate sacrifice he made, I think I was very, very struck by the fact that nobody knew about this person.
Zawacki designed this stamp for Canada Post to honor his legacy, but so far that request has been denied. He's hoping that might change next year, and with that, get Canada's recognition. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Montreal.
The growing number of people crossing into Quebec from the U.S. has sparked a protest in Montreal. But it's not what you might think.
We're all human beings. We all deserve to have a chance to make a good life for ourselves.
Hundreds came out to welcome the asylum seekers, waving signs with positive messages. The demonstration took place outside the Olympic Stadium, where cots have been set up to temporarily house people coming across the Quebec border. Canada has welcomed thousands of asylum seekers and refugees over the past few years. But what does life look like after that initial welcome? We catch up with the Farwan family in Lethbridge, Alberta, after their one-year government sponsorship runs out. That's next on The National. Hi, I'm Wendy Mesley with The National. We've started doing something a little bit special for the last little while on Facebook, taking questions during the commercial break. So yeah, we want you to stick around, but we're also interested in hearing what you want to know. And this is where it all happens. Oh, it says He National. It's actually The National. And the doors, yes, they're very tall. Peter's tall. He's kind of a giant, actually. Yeah, so this is it. This is where we pick up a microphone and the little, see, I've got a little thing in my ear, and I've got a microphone and a pack on the back, they're very easy for men to hide in their suits, not so much for women, but come on in. So this is, hi everybody. This is the National Studio. So we have the lighting board and the sound board, and over here we have the cameras. This is where Peter does does At Issue, and where we do Sunday Talk on Sunday nights. And there's moving pictures that are fed in when we're doing the news. And these are the cameras, and you can see, okay, it is a little bit like Anchorman 2. Yes, there are scripts that are put up into the camera. Yeah, so the show is sort of planned. We know what's coming. We've seen the scripts ahead of time, we being the anchors. Then we read them. That's if things go according to plan, but they don't always go according to plan. So just recently, Donald Trump, he sent a bunch of missiles over to Syria, and it happened just as our newscast was going to air. I was here also when President Obama launched the strike that took out Osama bin Laden, and at that point, there is no script, there's no plan. All there is, we have one computer, so we're up on computer, we're following what's happening on the wires. I have my phone, and I'm checking on Twitter to see what has happened there. And you just fly by the seat of your pants, and they'll say, okay, well, Samantha Nutt or Brian Stewart, they're in studio, or Neil McDonald's on the phone from Washington, and yeah, and so I have people yelling in my ears, and I see pictures coming up. So anyway, you can ask me anything about that. We're going to go to commercial break soon. You've got to send in your questions between this commercial break and when we go live, which is very, very soon. And we will try and answer your questions, and I'll answer almost anything. So that will be in the comments section. So anything other than where'd you buy that dress? There's no fashion advice here. So that's it. We really do want to hear from you, and we will answer you live in the next break. You may recognize their faces. That's the Farwan family from Syria. They came to Canada as refugees, and we've been checking in with them every so often. The last time we did that was around their one-year anniversary in this country. Their government sponsorship had just ended, and they allowed us into their lives again to see how they're adjusting to life on their own in a place so different from the one they left behind. Here's Adrian Arsenault with a family at a crossroads.
You have to wonder what sort of first impression a surprise Lethbridge cold snap leaves on those new to Canada. And what of that frequent first home, the Lethbridge Motel? This was where the bewildered Farwans initially lived a year ago.
السلام عليكم. شلونك عمي؟ كيف حالك؟ شو اخبارك؟ شو صحتك؟ الحمد لله على سلامتكم. الله يسلمك. شو اخبارك؟ مرحبا عمو.
Now, Halil and his eldest sons are back at the motel, not as guests, but guides, for another new Syrian family plucked from refugee life in Jordan. Isa El Salah, his wife Samaher, 4 kids, and another on the way. It's so cold outside, they're all confined to the small room, have been for a few days. Echoes of what the Farwans endured, which is why Halil steps up.
شلون انجليزياتكم؟
عيساها كويس.
ماشي. وانت؟ لا. معك شهادة سواقة أنت بسوريا؟
معي شهادة سواقة.
كويس، يعني هون ما بتستنى سنة تسوق. بجيب لك كتيب تبع السواقة.
يا ريت تساعدني.
لا إن شاء الله، لا يا زلمة وشو بدك؟ أنا حاضر والله.
نحن جايين جدا.
لا والله الله بدك، كل الشباب هون طيبين ولا تخاف، بدون اختيار. بدون ما اخترتك يعني تكون هون بالمدينة أو أنا اخترتك وكذا، تواجدنا هون، فيعني لازم نكون أخوة، فعلا أخوة.
Destiny. This is where the CBC first met the Farwans just over a year ago, harvesting the olives from an orchard in Jordan. They were just one of hundreds of families who'd applied for Canada's refugee program. It was a demanding process. That euphoria of finally finding out they'd been accepted, suddenly matched by the reality of saying goodbye. Family left behind, and an entirely foreign world ahead. After a year, there are plenty of routines and not a lot of rest. For Halil and Huda, long, slow days wrestling with English classes are bookended by all they have to do to care for 8 children.
Hello, Kaptan. How are you?
The youngest, 3-year-old Kauthar, still in daycare. The juggling act of a big family.
علينا أبو أحمد. والله بدي كير بالله.
Teenagers back at home, and still another stop. Picking up younger Farwans at the school. And the cold, still a little hard to accept.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good. You need got ears. And this.
Where there is a will, the Farwans always have a way. And so the 650 bags of pita bread. Sure, it's a big family, not that big.
بالسيارة في 30 و30 لأبو قاسم 60 وهاي 10.
Halil has managed to get a group of Syrian newcomers to get together, pool their limited resources. And he buys in bulk for the whole community. Dinner this night, fresh halal lamb they managed to get at a local Hutterite farm, of all places. The fragrance and feel and taste of Syria still so important. These are the Farwans, those kids growing up and Canada growing on all of them. Jibril, the easy grin, is still there. Huda, always watching out for her youngest, Kauthar. Mahmoud, yes, still shy. Halil, of course, remains the optimist. Adam, sharp, popular. Mohammed Eid, Mr. Responsible. Noah, the playful one, see him putting ketchup on his mother's beautiful food. Ahmed, the eldest, keen to make his own way. And Yamama, incredibly quiet, so solitary. What's telling about such a large family is that over time, how they fare will reveal so much about how Canada's refugee system is faring. There are bright moments, and yet some struggles linger. Getting past them is the whole country's challenge.
Okay, ready? Go. Can I press it? No!
If you were seeing these three for the very first time, there's a good chance the newness of their Canadian lives wouldn't even register. Kids, as kids do, just fit in.
You learned that from me. No? Yeah.
Since first meeting them a year ago, it's as though their Syrian accent has melted away.
So do you guys mostly play in Arabic or in English?
English.
You like to talk in English?
Yep.
It all gets harder when they get a little older. Mohammed Eid is the second oldest Farwan. Socially, he's a leader.
See, family, we didn't find him.
He is supposed to graduate high school this year with the rest of his peers, but there's a snag.
18.
His English just isn't good enough to enter college yet. He hasn't yet figured out what happens next. Mahmoud is a bit more reserved. He hangs back, lets his brother lead the way. But Mahmoud has the luck of more time, at least another year to find his path.
Playing games is fun. Go.
And Yamama. More than any conversation we've had in the last year, this time Yamama, in her quiet way, starts to open up. And it's not all good. Certainly not all easy.
Some people nice with me, some people have a problem, I don't know.
What kind of problem?
Like I'm scared Muslims like see me and I put hijab and like what's this girl put these things in here.
Most people are good?
Yeah, I'm happy. Really, I'm happy in here. Yeah, but sometimes I feel sad because my friends in Jordan and my grandma and my sibling sometimes feel sad and sometimes no. It's my life. I have to live, not like think about Jordan.
The kids have clearly been having fun with a small camera we asked them to use. This was a surprise when we first viewed the tape. Waves of newcomers to Lethbridge, all dancing to music from home. A jumble of boys and girls together. The older Farwans, a bit shy and on the margins, eventually join in. Can't help themselves. The desire, the need to work is a constant for the Farwans.
One fries, please. One fries, okay.
Ahmed was the first to get employment. A few part-time shifts after school and on weekends. He's serious about it and proud of it.
I like it. It's not hard, it's easy, but sometimes it's busy and hard. Yeah, I like it. You need put the buns?
In the background, always the understanding that his English is still limited.
Oh, it's medium.
The future he wants is bigger than his present, but how to get from here to there? There's the fear his opportunities for future jobs might be restricted. He'll need more training, more education, somehow. Part-time work is exactly what Mohammed Eid wants too. He's landed a job interview at a gas station.
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Actually, assalamu alaikum.
How are you? Good.
Good.
Good
Yeah.
to see you.
Me too. Good to see you.
So,
my name is Mohammed Eid. I'm 17 years old.
Okay.
I'm looking for a job.
He could do far worse than work for the likes of Muzaffar Sheikh, originally from Pakistan. He says he came to Canada nearly 40 years ago with just $30 in his pocket. He now owns several small plazas like this one. That Mohammed Eid needs a little nudge is something he absolutely understands.
never be afraid of anything. Never be shy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm not very
Don't
well
worry
on
about
the
English. You're gonna be good in English because you're gonna be speaking English here only.
Okay.
So just be having confidence in yourself.
Okay.
You're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Falling for Canada means learning to feel for it. When we come back, when that Fort McMurray fire raged, it seemed to jolt many Syrian refugees, especially the Farwans. The camera in their hands again. Halil, behind the wheel, that's a big step. It took a while to get that license, and he saved up to buy a used van. Those wheels give them wings and a way to explore their Canada.
The pictures tell a terrifying tale. An inferno out of control and
right now, fires are still burning in wooded areas of the northern Alberta city as the heat rises.
When the Fort McMurray fire raged, so many hearts fell. Halil Farwan was gripped with a need to do something.
طبعا يعني احنا المأساة اللي مروا فيها طبعا احنا مرينا فيها من قبلهم، انه طلعوا من بيوتهم وما فيش مأوى إلهم والشيء، يعني هاي مأساة طبعا. بس احنا مرينا بالشيء هذا، فحاولنا بدنا نساعد بشتى الوسائل، شلون يعني الطريقة اللي نساعد فيها.
At first, he wanted to get a few men together to go fight the fire, was talked out of that. Instead, he and other Syrian families donated nearly $900 to the Fort McMurray Food Bank. Huge for people on the margins.
Welcome to the 2016 Immigrant Achievement Award event.
Here's a moment for Khalil the family was so proud to record. Recognition for his effort during the Fort Mac fire.
The award winner for 2016 is Khalil Barrow.
Good evening, everybody. I am sorry for I little speak English.
Khalil had prepared for this speech all day, wanted to deliver it in English, but at the last minute he got nervous and asked for a translator.
When he started laughing, he said he likes two things, talking and eating.
Can you hear Huda and her sons giggling back there? Ever the showman, Khalil tries out a line on the crowd.
The last sentence he said, and he thanked too much his wife so he can sleep at home tonight.
Khalil really does struggle with the language. He's bursting to know and communicate more, bursting to work, still dreams of owning the house they are renting, but it all takes time, a frustratingly long time.
Your 5-year plan.
Yes.
Khalil's 5-year plan. So you have 4 years left.
Yes.
Are you on track?
Well, of course.
But what if, Khalil, what if it doesn't happen? These are big expectations you have. What if at 5 years it doesn't happen?
أي إنسان لازم يكون عنده خطة مستقبلية. أي إنسان. فبيحاول هو يطمح إنه يوصل للهدف هذا. وبيحاول كل جهده إنه يوصل للهدف اللي بده يوصل له. إذا ما وصلش إنه حاولت أني. بس في كثير عوامل بتحد إني أوصل. بس المهم إني حاط خطة براسي إني بدي أوصل للمرحلة هاي.
Khalil and Huda came to Canada for their kids. They remind themselves of that a lot. A holiday party at the school, a chance to step into what must feel like another planet. Connecting, something they work hard at every day.
How different do you think you are now from how you were 1 year ago?
Yes, when you came to Canada, no understand anything. Yes, but now good.
It feels better.
Yeah, better. مشتاق لكل شيء. أكيد الواحد مشتاق لتراب بلاده، ريحة تراب بلاده. سهول حوران ما في منها.
ولا يوم إلا ما حلمت بسوريا.
What is in your dreams at night?
في شيء كثير واحد إنه بيحلم بيه. الأهل. أنا عشت تقريبا حوالي 50 سنة بسوريا من الصعب واحد إنه ينسى أو يتناسى.
Isolation still seems their reality. Huda and Halil social with other Syrian refugee families, but connecting with others in Lethbridge has been hard. Every now and then, though, a stranger reaches out.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you too. Hello.
You are far ones?
Yes.
English is hard for both of them, but Huda, it seems, is getting bolder, confident enough to talk with someone new.
I have 2 boys here and 3 in the Winston Churchill.
Because you have big families, right? So for a
Very
Canadian, I have big family.
Yes.
But Syrian?
Yeah, big one.
Big family.
Yes.
But welcome.
Thank you.
Immigration experts call that a bridging moment, the sort of connection with locals that can make integrating so much more successful. For such a large family, they have their way of finding their own corners. The little ones enchanted by their screens. Missing from the scene, Mohammed Eid. He got that job at the gas station. On this night, he's on his first shift. So a whole year. They're still trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And their sweet Syria fades from memory just a little bit more with each passing month. But the warm embrace from this place of cold winds has made this home. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Lethbridge.
Since we first brought you that piece, Halil Farwan has found work as well at a car rental company. The family is looking for a bigger home, and the kids are enjoying their summer, taking swimming lessons before they head back to school in the fall. Every family has a different story, and earlier this year, comedian Colin Mockery and his daughter Kinley shared theirs.
Now my child has changed genders. Does that mean that previous child is now gone?
That conversation next on The National.
In the laboratory, film shot during the morning is now being processed. Several miles of film pass through these machines every week. A final conference with the producer, the assignment editor, and the man who physically puts the program together, the lineup editor. They discuss items that are available, items that failed, and stories they hope will still be realized before airtime.
Guns to bandits in Montreal. We have a funny bit by O'Brien from St. John.
Pressure also begins to build on the film editors who are called upon to handle several types of film and sound systems. This particular one is known as double system, where the film image is on one strip of 16mm film and the sound is on a separate strip of recording tape of the same width. The two must be kept in perfect synchronization at all times, a task which demands intense concentration. Color film, above all, requires special care and is always handled with soft cotton gloves. The slightest speck of dirt can cause a scratch visible along the length of the film. The film you see here is being edited for this particular program. In addition to all his other duties, the lineup editor has to screen each film as it arrives, evaluate it, and decide on its edited length.
Yeah. Seems to be good. There's another one.
A simpler film editing process and slightly faster to handle is single system, with the soundtrack already recorded on a narrow strip of tape along one edge. Although less versatile for editing purposes, it is more easily handled, and at this moment in the day, every minute counts.
Brendan, what time do you expect O'Brien's film?
The lineup editor's title explains his job. He literally lines up the film and decides in which order the various films will run during the newscast. Naturally, this list is subject to frequent change as a developing story assumes greater importance or another item fails to materialize. His biggest problems are time and people. People who arrive late, people who arrive early, people who don't arrive at all.
As an improv comic, Colin Mockery earns his living by thinking on his feet. It's an art form where success is measured by how you respond to curveballs. It requires trust and a generous spirit, qualities that Colin displayed after his daughter Kinley came out as transgender. I sat down with the Mockerys back in March. Here again is our conversation.
Well, it all started with an unfortunate milking.
Colin Mockery is used to being the center of attention. When the improv show Whose Line Is It Anyway made its way to Hollywood, Mockery became one of its stars.
Anyone else want their clams shucked?
And when he returned home to Canada, he became a go-to guy for comedy.
Sorry, your arms fell off.
Sorry, your arms fell off.
But earlier this year, he turned the spotlight towards his child with one simple tweet. My 90-year-old mother-in-law and 87-year-old mother's love and acceptance of our trans daughter warms me. Wonder why some who are younger can't. The reaction has been overwhelming. The tweet has received more than 17,000 likes. And opened up an avenue of dialogue for his daughter, Kinley. She revealed herself as transgender to her parents last April. Now that her transition is public, she's spreading a message of support to others dealing with gender identity questions. I sat down with both Kinley and Colin Mockery earlier in Toronto. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, you're kind of familiar.
Oh, thank you, I get around.
So how did this begin?
Well, I wasn't actually there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that far back the conversation. Well, I had come out to my mom. My dad was out of town, and it was a lot of conversations, getting all the information, making sure we were on an even playing field. It took some time, but I knew that support and acceptance was on the other side. I was not worried for a second.
So what was it like when the first time you got back and you saw Kinley?
It was, for me, it was great because, you know, I was out of town, and you go through this thing, oh, well, now my child has changed genders. Does that mean that previous child is now gone? But then once Kinley came through the door, I went, oh yeah, it's my kid. It's the exact same kid, as I say, with a different coat on. So it's just been, like anything, when a new situation arises, just educating yourself about it and keeping the lines of communication open.
So have you've been educating him about all the pronouns and the right vocabulary? Because it's all like changing. People are learning things.
There's so much information, and it's a lot of information that most of us don't get. Like, we talk, you know, there have been conversations about like sort of generational differences in terms of the information, but the truth is, like, our generation didn't get a lot of great information either. Like, a lot of it had to be learned. Like, I certainly had, you know, years ago, like, very little understanding of what being trans really meant. There was a lot big learning curve there.
How has the adjustment been for you? Did you ever slip up and say a bad word?
It's in the early days. There was slip-ups with gender and name, because I had 26 years of this person, and then had to switch. But I think it's much better now. Mm-hmm. But you know, and it's at the point now where I'm not thinking about it. It's just naturally, it's Kinley, it's her, it's she. So it's been a while, I think, since I have slipped. So. That's good.
Yeah.
We're all learning.
So your dad, you'd been public with your friends and close people, but then you sent out a tweet. What was that like, the whole world sort of realizing?
It didn't, it was unexpected, I think, like the amount of, but I mean, I get, now looking back at it, what did I really expect? Like, you were putting it out on a public forum, like people follow, like a lot of people follow you.
I think we were both idiotic in a way, because, you know, on our Facebook pages, you know, it certainly was always out there, all our friends knew. And so when I was going to put this tweet out, I asked Kinley, are you all right with this? So I suppose part of me knew there was that chance of explosion, but I didn't really think of the full ramifications. I just thought, I'm just putting this positive thing out there.
Lots of support, but also you were angry that some people couldn't adjust.
Yeah, there are some, you know, I always, whenever I go into any kind of a site, my thing always is, don't look at the comments. But then you start looking at them and you go, and that's, and a lot of the negative comments, I would say, were mostly through ignorance. There were a few hateful troll things where you just go, well, there's nothing I can say to these people. They're, you know, all of their profile pictures are like skulls with knives through them or something. But the ones that I felt were coming from a place of ignorance, I would try to say, you know, educate yourself about this. It's not, it's just something alien to you, but learn about it and maybe have some empathy towards what this person and thousands of people around the world are going through.
A lot of people in the last few years are like focusing on this, maybe for the first time. Is it easier? It must be easier now than would have been for somebody a generation before you.
There's now a reference point, like in culture, like there are so many iconic figures, obviously Caitlyn Jenner, Laverne Cox. There are people we can point to now. So I don't know where the shift happened, but transgender people just became part of like the big like cultural conversation. So in that aspect, in terms of having a reference point, I still think there's a long way to go in terms of looking at the way violence is done towards trans people and a lot of inequities and things like that. But certainly there is a shift happening, and I'm thankful for that.
I'm thinking it's sort of like improv technique where you're supportive.
It is. I think that actually did come into it a bit. There's this thing in improv, it's called yes and. It's the basis of all improv, where you accept whatever someone has given you and you build on that. And I think that Deb, my wife and I have actually talked the last couple of years of using that more in our life, saying yes to more things that may have made us, I don't know, uncomfortable or worried about. And we've started saying yes within limits. And it's taken us to these amazing places and met amazing people. So I do think improv actually did help with this.
So here we are now in the age of Trump. There's been all of this progress for people, you know, trying to be themselves. Are you nervous that there'll be ground lost?
I mean, I'm nervous. Yeah, of course I'm nervous. In terms of ground being lost, I mean, yes, but I think, I feel like we're at a point now where we are ready to fight. I think we're just ready to, by having those voices be heard and not just like take it anymore. We have come so far. I mean, it's been however many years since Stonewall, and that was like the biggest turning point. So
I think there's also more support now than there ever has been, and there certainly can be a lot more. But I don't think it's a fight that you will do by yourself. I think you have many allies to sort of help.
Are you nervous for her though in the age of Trump?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, you're nervous for your child anyway. But when this journey happens, the journey, it's become our word. There is more fear. I mean, the very first thing I think when Kinley told us was, God, let her be safe. Because there are people out there who aren't as enlightened as others. There's always going to be worry, but you know, and probably a little more because of the transition, but it's that comfortable worry, I guess, that we have to get through life with.
As parents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks so much for sharing this with me.
Thank you.
Entertainer-in-chief, who's in politics now. We've talked to a lot of interesting people on Sunday nights this year. You can check out those interviews and more on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/CBC The National. You can subscribe and let us know what you think. When we come back, what not to do when you return home after a wildfire evacuation.
Today's events were part of a program which has been going on since Wednesday evening. Gays and non-gays mingled at the fair, some coming from as far away as Holland and California.
Well, there are a few 100,000 gay people in the city of Toronto, and we felt that the organized gay community wanted to have a celebration of our culture, our community, and this is it. This is Gay Days.
They say together they can work toward acceptance by general society.
Though they marched through the streets today as they have before, the tone was less serious. There were no nightsticks, no confrontations. In the park, the atmosphere was festival.
Gay pride is an expression we use to say that we're proud of our sexuality, that we're not ashamed to say that our lifestyle is worth living.
More than 1,000 of the city's estimated 250,000 gays and lesbians celebrated with a sense of humor. They even found a way to laugh at AIDS.
This is supposed to be a public celebration. It's ironic that at this event, some entertainers and some participants in the rally asked us not to take their picture.
Gays and lesbians marching here fear reprisals for their lifestyle.
A sweltering summer Sunday in the city. A day to meet friends. Lots of friends, as it turned out. It may have been the biggest block party of the season. The parade, too, was a hit, an indication of the self-confidence and self-assurance that lesbians and gays have acquired here in only a few years.
This year, participants had something else to celebrate, the legal right to marry. Hundreds of thousands lined the streets. San Diego native Richard Reed and his partner Ernie Lacasse have been to pride parades before. This is their first as a married couple. For them, and for their fellow June brides and grooms, this year's parade is indeed a happy one.
They're circular, and the inside of the rim is scorched a little all around, and these circles are approximately 34 to 35 feet wide.
It was a disc shape, and it had a dome in the middle. Oh, it was a beautiful ship. It was a creamy white color.
It's as if a giant cookie cutter has stamped out circles. They range from 2 to 20 meters in diameter and come in a variety of patterns. Some swirl clockwise, others fan out from the center. Around the crisp perimeter, the fields are intact.
The plants are going through some form of molecular change, causing them to grow into huge dartboard patterns.
It's beyond anything we can suggest, and beyond any conventional science, the way this has been constructed.
Visitors are coming from miles around to see the latest attraction near Conquest, Saskatchewan. It's the most excitement people in this area have seen in a while. One of the circles looks like a donut. Another has a tail pointing to the south. And on a nearby field owned by a Hutterite colony, there are 6 circles. In all of them, the stalks of wheat are flattened but not damaged.
I'm not a great believer in UFOs, but once you see them right up close, they're different.
Summer is golden on CBC Sports. Come on, y'all, it's time to rise up.
It's been a few weeks since thousands of people forced out of their homes by wildfires in BC were allowed back. But this is probably not what they wanted to see out the window. One Williams Lake man celebrated being home by setting off some fireworks. The RCMP took the incident seriously and issued a $1,000 fine.
It's careless acts such as this that have the real potential to trigger even more interface wildfires in this area.
Almost all of the province is currently under a complete fire ban. And that's the National for this Sunday night. I'm Wendy Mesley. For news at any hour, you can always go to cbcnews.ca. Thanks for watching.